Welcome to the Virtual CISO. I am your host, Olivia. This is the opening episode for Season 3, Compliance, Controls, and Confidence, where we'll be focusing on compliance frameworks and how experienced security leaders use them to build trust, manage risk, and support growth at scale. When you've worked across regions, industries, and regulatory environments long enough, you begin to notice a pattern. Organizations don't struggle with compliance because frameworks are complex. They struggle because they misunderstand what compliance is meant to do. At its core, compliance exists to create trust. Trust between organizations and their customers, trust between leadership teams and boards, and trust between companies and the market they want to operate in. However, over time, the original purpose often gets lost. Compliance turns into a project, a deadline, or an audit to get through. As a CISO, I've seen what happens when compliance is treated as an obligation rather than an operational discipline. Controls become performative, evidence are gathered once a year, and ownership lives in one team instead of being across the business. The results look compliant on paper, but fragile in practice. Seasoned security leaders approach this differently. They understand that compliance framework sits at the intersection of risk, accountability, and assurance. Each framework speaks to a specific audience. SOC report speaks to partners and customers. ISO certifications speak to global credibility and governance maturity. Financial control frameworks speak to investors and regulators. None of them exist in isolation. When leaders recognize this, compliance stops feeling fragmented and becomes intentional. Another reality becomes clear at this stage. Frameworks were never designed to replace judgment. They exist to structure it. They provide a common language for discussing risk, control ownership, and responsibilities across functions that do not naturally speak the same language. Engineering, security, legal, finance, and operation, they all view risk differently. Compliance frameworks align these perspectives into something measurable and repeatable. That alignment is where maturity begins. This season of the Virtual CISO, Compliance, Controls, and Confidence, is focused on leading compliance framework because they shape how trust is earned at scale. SOC 2, ISO 27001 and its extensions, SOC 1, CIS and NIST Controls, they all serve different purposes. Understanding how and when to use them is a leadership skill, not an audit skill. Throughout this season, we will explore how these frameworks work individually and where organizations tend to misapply them, and how experienced security leaders bring them together into a sustainable program. The goal here is clarity. Clarity around scope, clarity around ownership, and clarity around what good actually looks like beyond passing an audit. Compliance done well supports growth. It enables sales conversations, strengthens partnership, and prepare organizations for security before it arrives. When compliance is embedded into how business operates, it becomes steady rather than reactive. This is the mindset that this season is built on. This episode sets the foundation for the season ahead. In the next episode, we will take each framework in turn and examine how they function in practice and how seasoned security leaders use them to build sustainable compliance programs. Thank you for listening to the Virtual CISO. I'm glad you're here, and I'm your host, Olivia.